Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for this special lecture by His Grace Sundarnath Prabhu. I just want to quickly mention, most of you know Sundarnath Prabhu. I just want to quickly mention a few of his glories. Sundarnath Prabhu graduated from NIT, or the National Institute of Technology, Warangal, with a degree in electronics and communication engineering. He actually worked in the United States for about 5 years as a software engineer before dedicating his life for preaching the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita as a monk in 2005. Since then, he has guided hundreds of youth and has been a great source of inspiration for many, both in the US and in India. Then in 2015, he received an order from his spiritual master to come to the Bhakti Center. And he came here and he started establishing the finances and stabilizing the Bhakti Center, which has now become a hub and an example of outreach in the Western world. He's greatly appreciated for his loving relationships with devotees and devotional classes. He is actually well known for giving classes on executing devotional service with maturity. And as you can see, he's very unassuming, he's very humble, and a very down to earth individual. And his only desire is to genuinely please his Guru. So thank you so much, Sundarnath Prabhu. Very, very honored and happy that you're here today. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. A few devotees could not join today. Some of them are moving, some in Seattle and in California, they couldn't join. So
For them.
but they will hear the recording later. So yes, Prabhuji, do you want me to mention the three things, or how do you want to do it?
So, given the time we have, I will not be able to even cover one also.
Okay.
So I will be discussing on balancing material and spiritual ambitions.
Sure, Prabhu.
So I just want to, before we start, just one or two words from all assembled here.
Yes, so we can start with Vishal Prabhu, because you are the leftmost on the screen. Vishal Prabhu, do you want to mention?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I'm Vishal. I recently graduated from NYU and currently I'm working as a software engineer. And I got connected by the mercy of Yugal Kishore Prabhu and Gaur Kumar Prabhu. So that is why I'm here.
So you can tell where you stay, where you're staying.
I'm staying in Jersey City, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Vrinda, you're next in the line.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'm Vrinda and I'm currently working at Oracle, and I got connected by Yugal Kishore Prabhuji and Gaur Kumar Prabhuji through their live programs, and currently I'm in California. So yeah, thank you. Very cool.
Suman Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Very good.
True, I think Sundarnath Prabhu and everyone over here knows me. So thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Suman Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Vinay Prabhu, if you're here.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm in traffic, may not be audible. Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam, Sundarnath Prabhuji. I'm Vinay, and I also got connected to Gaur Kumar Prabhu in Brooklyn Temple and Bhakti Center. Now I'm in and was graduate when I was studying in NYU, and right now I'm like working in Seattle in Amazon. Thank you so much for this today's class, Prabhu. Looking forward. Hari Bol.
Thank you for joining after your work.
Yes, Prabhu. After my work, I just came out for something to get done, and now stuck in traffic. So,
Vinay Prabhu is in Seattle.
Yeah.
And Atana Mataji, you're next.
Hare Krishna. I think Sundarnath Prabhu knows Dandavat Pranams. I'm unqualified to be part of this group, but grateful that Gaur Kumar Prabhu has graciously allowed me in, and I'm looking forward to your talk tonight. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Karan Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Oh,
Prabhuji already.
How are you?
Humble obeisances, Prabhuji. I'm good. So Prabhuji already knows me. Prabhu, I'm in Jersey City right now. I think we haven't met for some time.
Yeah. I have not come to this city for more than a year. Not more than a year, less than a year, sorry. Yeah.
Angelica, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. What do you want me to say?
Just how you came into Krishna consciousness and just about yourself, what you're doing and stuff.
Oh.
What you're comfortable with.
I feel like I came to Krishna consciousness by magic and intuition combined. I feel like as most of us do. But it was just kind of like one of those days when I was walking on the street and saw the Bhakti Center's doors, and I felt like I just needed to enter and ask some questions. So that's kind of how it happened. Yeah, and it's hard to identify with anything, but I study fine arts, which probably could allow me to say I'm an artist. And I also study ethnography, so I'm just learning a lot about cultures and doing research in that. I'm currently in New York still, and probably moving to Europe relatively soon in the next few months. I will be actually doing another research related to Jerusalem and religions, the religion clashes and how they mesh together in that beautiful city. So that's just kind of how it's going to be. Yeah, and I came here through Atina, who sent me an invitation. And I think that, especially the question of managing and balancing material world with, spiritual attempts of advancement can be very helpful for me. So I'm just looking forward to hear from you and have your association.
Thank you so much, Angelica. Also, you give great Bhagavatam classes.
That was only one class.
Thank you. Anirudh Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I was introduced to Krishna consciousness via my parents, Prabhuji. They're disciples of His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj. And I've also been under the guidance of devotees during my college life in NIT Suratkal under Suvarna Gaura Hari Prabhu under Voice. And now I've been given the fortune of being under the guidance of Gaur Kumar Prabhuji. And I currently work at New York City in Bank of America, and I'm a part-time master's student in Georgia Tech. So,
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, so Hare Krishna.
Vedant, are you here, Vedant?
Yes.
Please say a few words, Vedant, about yourself and where you are and where you're working. Vedant? Okay, I think. Okay, Prabhu. So that's it.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
I think my internet connect. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Vedant. Yeah,
yeah. I am in Houston right now, and I'm studying robotics in NYU, and right now I'm trying to find a job.
Okay,
all the best for your job. Thank you all so much.
And last but not least is my good wife, Nitya Kishori. She's putting Radha Kripa to sleep, but she.
We don't need introduction of her.
Okay.
all tri-state area knows about her, and about you also.
No. Anyway.
That's such a beautiful name, Radha Kripa. Such a beautiful name.
And she's beautiful also, Radha Kripa. Thank you, Gaur Kumar Prabhu, for inviting or having me here. I'm very joyful to see you and all the devotees. Gaur Kumar Prabhu is my very dear friend, who is my well-wisher always. Thank you. We'll just do short prayers and we'll see. Om Agnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is balancing our spiritual and material ambitions, or you can say spiritual and material life, or you can say spiritual and material activities. So it's a very interesting topic which is applicable to all sorts of devotees. Those who have come to spirituality, irrespective of their seniority, irrespective of number of years they have been practicing, it's a very applicable subject, because the balance is always going on. Everything in this world works with the balance. With the balance, you see, in a gigantic universe, all the bodies, sun, earth, they're all balanced. If they get imbalance, so much of havoc will happen. If the sun moves a little bit here and there, then so much of havoc will happen. So same thing like that, it is a balance. So any activities also, everything in our body also, things are balanced. In our body there are 5 elements, gross elements and all, they're all balanced. It's very, you can see in nature everything is balanced. When something gets imbalanced, then there's always a disaster. There's always a disaster. Like we see now, we have this virus. It's not in balance, because all people, millions of people getting sick and thousands dying. That's not problem. That's not a balance. So that's why so much of disturbance it is. Because imbalance it is. Some virus is in imbalance. So like that, everything in this world requires balance. So we can see from the macro world to micro world, from virus to the gigantic bodies, things has to be in balance. The same thing we can learn that within our body also we can learn that our activities should also be balanced. Now, because of all of you have taken up the path of spirituality, it's a new path we are all taken up. We have all new compared to, like, nobody is born spiritual. They are there, but we may be here also there. But generally, most of us, we come to spirituality, and then we have been practicing now the spiritual activities. So there is always this. We need to see how to balance them. Why to balance? Like I discussed, like we said, no, when something is more, it comes imbalance. On the scale, weighing scale, when you have to balance it, equal weights like that. So if one becomes more, another becomes less, they become imbalance, and there are effects for that. There are different effects. So I'll first. We have 9:20 now. I'll first just go in little theory, and then we'll see how much practicalities we can go in. And we'll see how much to. Because a very vast subject it is. We'll just touch the introduction part like that. We can see. So there are material activities. We can say material means those activities that are centered for our sense gratification. They are called material activities. And spiritual activities means those activities that are centered for Krishna's pleasure or Krishna's sense gratification. That is called service. It is service. So any activities which we do it for our sense gratification, that is material activities, you can say. So now we need to some sense gratification. We need to eat, but we can't just eat every day, some bread. How many of us can eat every day bread 3 times a day? Or pizza. Can't eat every day 3 times a day pizza. We need some variety. We need some pleasure in that. So there is required, there is sense gratification, or there is some variety or some pleasure is required in this world. So, but if that becomes too much, then it becomes totally material. And then the same thing, spirituality also. When we do spiritual activities, like we do our chanting, we do our reading, our hearing, and we do different services, all that also needs to be balanced. If that becomes more or less, that also becomes problem. So if you see, the balance means they're making them together. So generally, a person in this world who is not come to spirituality, that person is just concerned about his or her sense gratification, how to gratify senses. That's what it is. That is like the animal life, how animals are living. They just know only sense gratification of eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. So if you are just doing that, then that life is not worth for human life. Human life means we need given higher responsibility, higher intelligence, so that can do spirituality. So those people who are just doing these material activities, they are in ignorance. Now, a devotee, a practicing devotee, and a other person who is not in spirituality, if you see the activities, they are all same. You are all graduating or graduated from different colleges, and you are working or looking for a job like that. But if you see your colleagues who are not taken to spirituality, they are also doing same. And nothing different. It is not much different. If you see the activity wise, they are also graduating. So many people graduating, and they are also getting jobs. So like that. So for a devotee, he has to spiritualize his activity. That's the balance. It is spiritualize the activities. Like Arjuna fought a war. So many wars, so many warriors have fought. But why Arjuna's example is given, we quote, because he not only fought the war, he made that war as a devotional service, as spirituality, because he did it for not his pleasure, for Krishna's pleasure. He wanted to give up the war. He didn't want to fight at all. But later Krishna told why he should fight. He should do it for Krishna's pleasure. So what changed to Arjuna? Nothing changed. Arjuna throw his weapons, throw his arrows and all. So nothing changed with Arjuna, but his consciousness changed. He wanted to earlier, in his bodily concept, he didn't want to fight. That consciousness changed, that he fought for Krishna as a devotional service. So as devotees, for us, the balance means it is to spiritualize our activities. A person working in a factory, or let's take example, a person working in your software company. So he is doing debugging, coding, and all different things. And then a devotee doing same thing. Now the activity doesn't differ. It looks same. And it's not that a devotee should not do it. He should do same thing he's doing. But what difference here is what he will do with the result of that work. The money that he gets from the work, what is going to do it? So that is called spirituality, spiritualizing it. Is he using it for completely sense gratification, or is he using for Krishna's service? Now, Krishna's service is not that you should donate everything, not that also. It is like renouncing it is. That's not devotional service. Of course, right consciousness is okay, but how is he doing with that money? How is he doing it? Example. So most of you are staying in a rental home. So there's so many people staying in rental homes. Now, person is working, getting his salary, and then he's renting an apartment and staying. And a devotee also doing the same thing, but what devotee does, that this house is not for my pleasure. It is, I'm staying in this house for my service to Krishna. You have an altar in the house, picture of Radha Murlidhar or Radha Krishna picture, and then you are doing service, and then you are making them a center in the home, and then you are offering your service to them. That is spiritualizing. Staying is same. You have to pay the bills. Other person who is not in spirituality has to pay the bills. No excuse. Just because we took to spirituality, we don't get any concessions anywhere. In our work or in our spending or anything, nothing. We have to pay the same price for milk. We have to pay the same price for gas and everything. It is same. So activities remain same, but we need to just spiritualize it. Any activity can be spiritualized. Every activity can be spiritualized. To the extent that Krishna tells the topmost sense gratificatory activity in this world is sex life, that also can be spiritualized. Krishna says that one can engage in sex life as per the scriptural injunction. So every activity and any activity should be spiritualized, that can be spiritualized. The balancing is the art of spiritualizing it. How I'm spiritualizing every activity. So that's the art. That's why Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita that he's telling it has to balance everything. Is the famous word for balance in Bhagavad Gita is Yukta Hara Viharasya Yukta Chetasya Karmasu Yukta Swapnavodasya Yoga Bhavati Dukkha. That he who is controlled in his habits of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Now, to achieve that balance, that spiritualizing that activities, one has to follow certain principles. One has to follow certain principles. That is this thing, like Krishna is telling here. Yuktahara. One has to regulate one's eating, sleeping, working, and recreation. So that spiritualizing can be done when we regulate. If we don't regulate, it's just a matter of time, or it just happens naturally that we will just do material activities. But our lifestyle should be regulated. Our activities should be regulated, everything. Then we will get that foundation or that platform on which we can spiritualize our activities. So that's why there is sadhana and the regulatory principles and all acharyas have given, so that we can regulate our activities, regulation by which we can spiritualize our activities. If we cannot regulate, it becomes unregulated, then it becomes imbalance, it becomes too much. It goes imbalance and then it becomes, then we cannot spiritualize it. So that is the kind of a theory part to understand this on this subject, that the activities cannot be changed, activities remain same, whatever we are in, whatever vritti we are, whatever occupation, and whatever ashram we are in, but we need to spiritualize our activity. That can happen by regulation or by scriptural injunctions or by practice, devotional practice. So now, if why we need to do this balancing? Why we need to regulate this? What does that mean, regulation means? What does this yuktahara, what does this mean? That means that we have to do our activities so that we can do devotional service long term until our last breath. Actually, everything is devotional service because everything is driven by soul. Soul is driving the matter. Many people, those who are not in devotional service, they are in ignorance, but otherwise, every activity is already a spiritual activity because it's driven by soul, spirit. But we don't know it. We have forgotten it. So the spiritual activity, we have to spiritualize it. But till to spiritualize it, how it should be? We should be spiritualizing our activities till the last breath. That should be our goal. So this is not a sprint, it's a marathon until we reach the goal. Till last breath, we need to keep spiritualizing our activities. For that, what we should do? Slow and steady wins the race. We have to go very slow and steady. First step is, if we are doing 2 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra, or 4 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra, or 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra, or we should be steady for it. It's not that I go 2, then I jump to 4, I come back to 3, and then go to 1. So that is not steady. So we need to very steady and slow. We should see that, okay, can I take next step or not? With a very calculated, after experience and after proper, that guidance or proper understanding, we should take next step in spiritual life. It doesn't matter if you are practicing it same for some time or a few months or year, doesn't matter. That's okay. We're not just going down. If you see Radhanath Swami, if any of you read Journey Home book, so after he met Prabhupada, he came to United States again. He didn't took initiation for a few years. He waited a long time. So because at the time in ISKCON, initiation means like you come in to and you come and stay in the temple, in 1 month or 2 months you'll get initiated. That's a practice, that's a general norm at that time. But Maharaj, even though at the age of 16, he started from his home searching for spirituality and he found his path, and then he found a guru and all, still he didn't take initiation from the Prabhupada. Because he wanted to commit fully for life. So it is, so we should take it so seriously. That is, like, okay, this is a long term. I'm going to practice this long term. So I need to see how I can take this. And also we need to see that as our age increases, the taste for our devotional service or spiritualizing our activities should increase. The taste should increase. So we need to see that. So if taste is going down, then we have to see that, oh, why my taste is going down? So of course, initially there will not be much taste, but at least we should feel good about doing our devotional service. So that's another measure we have to see, not just external activities, like devotional activities. External means like chanting, reading and all, but also we have to see my taste is remaining same or increasing. It should not go down at least. So we have to balance again that also. We have to see that how I can increase my taste. That's a different topic altogether, how to increase our taste in devotional service. But we need to keep an eye on that too. So that is so it's just not that, how I am practicing, how many rounds I'm chanting, what I'm doing, what I'm reading, what lectures I'm attending. No, not only that. We should also see that my taste is increasing or not, or I'm getting same taste in the devotional activities or not. So that then only we can go long term. Otherwise, if we push it too much hard, or if we do it too much, then we come back. So our steps in spiritual life should be very calculated and very balanced. It is that how my other activities, my other activities are affecting. So we should always keep that aim that my spirituality I'm practicing is not a one day or this thing. I should be practicing this till my last breath. So whatever happens, I will not give up this. So that should be the commitment. Because this is the truth. This is the truth. We are spirit soul. And we are part and parcel of Krishna. So world, everything may go wrong, but this truth never goes wrong. So then I should not give up. So that is my thing, that I should practice till my last breath. That doesn't mean that you practice for some time and then take a gap and then practice again and then take another gap. No, it should be steady. That's called balances. There is no ups and downs. It should be steady. Ups and downs will be there. At least our activities, our practice should not be ups and downs. So that's why very important it is that how are we taking our spiritual activity? How are you doing our spiritual activities? In a gradual steps, so that I can sustain it till my last breath. The first balance, that is, we should do it. And then the second one is, oh, what about my career? I'm just starting my career. And I need to earn more. My work is so much now. I have to work so much. And then I have to do so much other things. So why can't I go a little easy on spiritual life and focus more on material life, material activities? So let me buy a home. Let me get settled. Let me get some children. Let me get married, it's children, and let them also get settled and all. Now, then once I reduce my responsibilities, then I can go in full speed. That is giving more importance to material life. That's imbalance. Why? Because we don't have any examples till now that somebody who gave importance to the material life and that person could come back to spiritual life at later stage in his life. It never happens because the nature of material world is like that. Once we get sucked in, then we keep going into that again and again. It's like a quicksand. Of course, there are some examples in scriptures like Priyavrata and all, but they were special souls. They had the practice earlier. But we are just starting, so we need to see that that material life is important. I'm not telling it's not important. We have to maintain our jobs. We have to perform well in the jobs, and we should earn money for sure. But it is not at the cost of our spiritual life. So that is it's an art. So we need to see that. So for that, again, we need to have a regular schedule, and then we should stick to our practices, and then to our seva and all. So the two things should go on parallelly. Sometimes it may be required, that you have to spend a little more on material things, like you have an exam. You have to spend more time on an exam, but still we should do our rounds, and still we should do minimal what we need to commit for. But it should not be a daily thing. Or it should not be like, okay, I'll achieve this goal, then I'll do something else. So material life cannot be given importance over spiritual life at any cost. Otherwise, we'll lose everything. Once the taste is gone from spiritual life, it's very hard. When we initially come to Krishna consciousness, Krishna gives a sample of taste for bhakti. You all may be experiencing that or experienced that already. A sample taste. A sample, free sample. A good salesman, he gives a free sample first. So Krishna is the best salesman. So he first gives a free sample. As soon as anybody comes to Krishna consciousness, after some time, he'll give a sample. Such a nice taste, then we think that, oh my God, that's what Krishna consciousness is. So nice it is. I want to do this. I just want to practice Krishna. I just want to leave everything and just practice this. This is the life I should be practicing. But that's a free sample. It won't last long. Free sample, once you start consuming it, gone it is. Now what? Where is the taste? Krishna says, you pay. What will I pay? Yeah, you have to pay all your material conditionings. All it has to go away. So that's what the taste we have a little bit, we should not lose it. If we lose it, we don't get again free sample again. Free sample is given only once. They give offer, right? You sign up for something, they give for first transaction, you get some discount or whatever it is like that. So once you use it, you don't get it again. You have to keep paying the full price. So like that, if you give material life importance, what will happen? We'll lose that taste. To come back to practice, to have that taste, next to impossible. Now we have not seen in the contemporary times somebody who gone full throttle to material life, like completely ignoring spiritual life, coming back. Some rare cases happen, but we don't want to take chances. So that is what. And then next is, what if I just focus on my spiritual life? Everything belongs to Krishna. Krishna will take care. My material life, Krishna will take care. I just have to focus my spiritual life. So if you do that, that's also a problem. Why that's a problem? If we just do spiritual life, like I said earlier, who will pay our bills? If we say, oh, Krishna will take care, whatever Krishna will put me in situation, I'll be there. If if I'm not working, I become homeless, that's also okay. Yeah, that may be, we may be thinking like that, but when that situation comes, then we won't be able to handle it. Then we think, oh my God, why would I wouldn't stop, did this? Why I even came to this side? So if you neglect our material life and just focus on spiritual life or increase that more, again, it's a problem. Because we may like it initially, but we can't sustain it. It is beyond our realization. And not only that, we will put in problem to our friends and near and dear ones also. Our parents will be in anxiety, our spouses, our children, they all be in anxiety. If we just neglect all the duties and just focus on our spiritual life, a big problem. So not only we will be in anxiety, others will also be in anxiety to the extent that their spiritual life also get disturbed, our spiritual life also gets disturbed, everything gets disturbed, everything gets spoiled. Because we didn't take care of our material activities. So there should be balance, it is. So what is the limit? There's no limit. If one is an expert, he can do a lot of material activities. One can earn a lot of money. He can become billionaire also. At the same time, we can do a lot of spiritual practice also. There are examples who are millionaires, billionaires, and they practice nicely too. So it is not that, okay, I'm a Hare Krishna devotee. Why should I worry about, earning a lot? Now, if I just get my bills paid and, it gets my this thing, that's okay. I just want to just lie down and hear Hare Krishna and then just relax. No, if you have that ability, you have to work. And if we have that, what about our nature? We have to see our nature, and also there is no shy. We should not feel shy for it to earn or to have material life, comfortable life, but at not the cost of spiritual life. At the same time, if we have that spiritual interest, we should do that also. The point is, the material activity and material life should be given important first. On top of it, we should do spirituality to the extent that we are comfortable with, so that we can continue and practice it for long life. We have to keep paying bills. That should go on. That we cannot stop. But the spirituality is on top of it. So that should go on for long life. So both are important for us. If once material is getting too much importance to material life, that's also not good. And too much importance to spiritual life, that's also not good. I will not say which one is worst out of both, which one to give importance, give more. That's up to one's individualities. But we should have basic, both should go on, basically. So that is the in essence, because I want to leave some time, some room for discussion and some question. So we are not going into more details like how exactly to do it, what are the principles to follow and all like that. Maybe some other time, but this is like more like little theory and then little practical, but not full it is. Given the matter of time, I want to open for some discussion.
Thank you so much, Sundarnath Prabhu. I mean, that was a short and sweet nectar. I mean, you covered so many points on how to balance on both sides, material and spiritual lives. I'll just open it up. If anybody has any questions, I'm sure there'll be lots of questions on this. So you can unmute and ask the question whenever you want. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I don't really have a question as much as a reflection, and I think that what stuck with me the most is the statement that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and how it should be sustained till the last breath, because even like that brings up for me this really striking comparison between how we are seeing the growth in material life, which is often seen exponentially, like in business or in education that I'm having first-hand experience, how every single year, every single month, there should be so much more progress made, and there is so much more expectation from year to year or whatever time periods are defining those structures, and how like it is so much more based on our own understanding of our own spiritual practice, which we can only, and also our spiritual mentors, how we can assess that, and how to truly sustain it for a long time, and then find that sweet moment when we can step up our game so we can then sustain that for a long time. So I find this is a really beautiful point for me, and I think that like it takes so much for me, at least effort, to kind of switch those two levels, or like adjust and approach these two things in those very different modes, especially just approaching the spiritual life with that steadiness and also patience, and almost like waiting out the hardships to see if I can pass the test, to keep my sadhana in those hard moments before stepping up the game, right? As opposed to falling down and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that point. I think it's a very beautiful meditation. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Very beautifully you have explained that point so nicely. Thank you. You should be speaking more.
There's a question on the chat that was sent to me from Suman Prabhu. So he's in Florida right now and his internet is unstable. So he's sending me this question, Prabhu. The question is, how focusing more on spiritual life without neglecting material duties causes imbalance? You mentioned if you can keep earning more materially, shouldn't we try to reduce it to take time out for spiritual practices?
What is second part?
So second part is, shouldn't we try to reduce the time so that we, on material activities so that we can time out for spiritual activities?
Yes. So focusing more on spiritual life without neglect. So yeah, he also wrote me here one first part. How focusing more on spiritual life without neglecting material life causes imbalance. Yeah. Focusing more on spiritual life without neglecting material life is not imbalance. Okay. What I mentioned here, what I mentioned is when you focus spiritual life and neglect material life, that's imbalance. If you are not neglecting your material life, then it's not an imbalance. You can focus more on spiritual, that's good. As long as you're taking care of your material life. Material life means not just 9 to 5 job or anything. Your material ambitions, your desires, because everybody is different personality. Where you are satisfied, you are fulfilled, where you don't have regrets. That why I have become Hare Krishna, that I am not able to do this. At the same time, you should not have regrets all that oh, why I have become Hare Krishna, that I am not the billionaire, I am not the world's richest man. You can be, if you want, but if you're not neglecting your spiritual life. But of course, it requires a lot of effort. So there should be a balance like that. So if you are not neglecting material life, yeah, there is no imbalance. As long as the material, see, one is basic necessities. Another is there are some desires. Everybody has desires. So we need to see what are the extreme desires or which are very, very difficult desires. But some are like really, they are like desires, but they are like wants for us. For a brahmachari sleeping on a floor is okay, that's okay for him. But for other persons, it may not be same. It is for them, for other person, a want is to sleep on a bed. So their wants for different individuals are different. So if we are leading like that of life, a simple life, that's good. You are taking care. Still, it is that it's not provided by its own on its own. But even a brahmachari, he has to work. It's not that if he's not working, they'll kick out of the temple. So that is taken care. That has to be there. It's not imbalance. It is first part of the question. The second part, sorry again.
The second
first part answer. Suman Prabhu. Okay, we'll see the second part. This connection may not be.
He said yes, Prabhu. For the first part answered, he said yes. For the second part, he's saying, shouldn't we try to reduce our material activities to take time for spiritual practices?
Shouldn't we reduce our material activities to take time for spiritual activities?
Yeah.
Okay. So material activities has to be spiritualized. You cannot reduce it. You need to spiritualize it. Like I mentioned also, working, yes, you can work. Now you have to spiritualize that work. How you can make it spiritualized is what it is, the intelligence it is, and you have to need a guidance for it. Spiritual activity means if you just if your basic needs are taken care, yeah. But how can you reduce your material activities? You cannot reduce it. You cannot reduce every year. Okay, this year I'm working 8 hours a day. Next year I'll work 7 hours a day. And so at retirement you can do it, but if a proper planning is required and proper guidance is required, there are things. It's not that of course somebody wants to become brahmachari, that's a different thing. He can just quit his job and then he can just go and join a temple and then still he'll work there. So it is all for Krishna, you can say. But the thing is, they also deal with material things. because the temple is in the material world. So it is same thing. It is a grihastha trying to deal and maintaining a house, or a brahmachari trying to serve in a temple. It's all same. So it is not material if you are serving it, if you are spiritualizing it, if you are using it for Krishna's service. Now in that, how you want to do is, how much time you want to do is up to each different individual. But all activity has to be spiritualized. Each individual is up to them, like, which one? Should I spend more time for chanting or should I spend more time for coding? That's our individuality it is. But minimum we have to follow. 16 rounds Prabhupada said minimum, we do that. After that, yeah, if you are able to do your coding job or 8-hour job in 2 hours, well, very good. And you have the taste for doing at 6 hours, you get extra. If you have the taste, yeah, you go ahead. The problem is, many times we don't just get taste by increasing our time for spiritual life. We get spaced out, or we don't do it. And then what happens? We'll become lazy. We'll become lazy in spirituality also, we'll become lazy in material also. Then rather than that, now we use our energy for doing our activities, our job and other things. Prabhupada first said, chant 64 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra when he came to US. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, if one doesn't chant 64 rounds of Hare Krishna, he is fallen, he said. So Prabhupada, being a disciple, he came and first he said, before giving initiation, you all should chant 64 rounds. And the devotees tried actually. And they came back and said, Prabhupada, 64 rounds. How can I can sit and chant 64 rounds? I can't even imagine. They were not chanting 16 rounds also at that time. Then, okay, you try 32 rounds. That also was too much for they couldn't do it. Then he said 16 rounds, no less. And then he said, yes, my spiritual master said, we are all fallen. Yes, we are fallen, but we have Patita Pavana, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he will deliver us. So we should do that minimum first. Now, after that, you are getting taste and you are getting chanting and all, yes. But you have to be very, people sometimes think, oh, I can do like that. I don't want to, I can reduce my material activities. Maybe I'll go to Vrindavan and sit there and chant. It will not happen. It may happen for a few months. So better to go steady, do your 16, keep at 16. There's a lot of work to do within 16 rounds also to increase the quality. And there's a lot of work to do in our reading to increase our quality and like that. So at our level, at our young age, we are still not, you are not still married like that. So keep your spiritual activities measured and also your material activity measured. Don't see that I have to reduce material activity and go into spiritual more. Not yet. Because once you married, you have children and all, that things are coming up. They are in line. Or if you become brahmachari still, then you can still continue your job, whatever responsibility you can fulfill. Then you can become brahmachari. Again, there also you have same thing. They are both activities.
Thank you so much, Sundarnath Prabhu. Anyone else would like to ask anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to share, a great session, by the way. That so I know, like, I think a lot of you know that when I was in New York, I used to come to attend the sessions, and I tend to, like, try to understand everything, like what is consciousness and everything, like go very deep. And I used to go to Vedana Society and everything. But now, like, I am realizing that it's again imbalance, that I'm trying to understand each and every aspect of spirituality at once, and in each and every aspect of materialistic world also. So that's sort of imbalance. And I think in the beginning, like you should accept something, and then you try to understand rather than just going full on. If you like, I don't know if I'm able to explain it properly, but if what I mean, that uh, if that's like an imbalance, that like, so I used to go to Vedanta Society and think about it, that okay, then what's the use of this materialistic world? Then I came back and go to my robotics class, and I thought, oh man, this is so cool. So and so that was, I think, that was the overthinking part of me, that I think, like, maybe not in this life, but in next life I can become, like proper monk and something. Like, I don't know, like, I try to explain what I think, but I'm not able to put in the words right now.
Yeah, I understand. Yes. So what you're telling is correct. So based on our realization, on how we are, we should act. Yes, should balance. Thank you for sharing that.
Anirudh Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. I just have one question, Prabhu.
Yes.
So Prabhuji, this is like a little personal. I've recently started a part-time master's program, and I'm also doing a software job. So the thing is, I used to do like, in terms of spiritual activity, I used to chant and I used to read and I used to listen to lectures every day. But sometimes nowadays it comes to me prioritizing something if both tend to clash. So if I end up working late and I have to do classes, it ends up being a clash sometimes. So apart from chanting, like, is there any precedence as to what comes, like, how I can prioritize the other activities or the spiritual activities if it comes down to it, like in terms of reading or hearing lectures, anything like that, deity worship, service in the house?
So in the 9 process of devotional service are all same. It's not no priority for it. There are 9 process of devotional service. Not that one is above other. Of course, it starts with chant, with Shravanam, Kirtanam, like that. But they are all same. One can achieve perfection with even one also. So if you are not able to, for whatever reason, you are doing 2 programs at a time, but if for whatever reason you're not getting time, at least do that one part, that is the Kirtanam part, the chanting part, very, very focused and very, very nourishing way that it will give you the spiritual energy for whole day. And then you have more time, you have priorities, then you pick which you like. You like to read, you read. You like to hear some lecture, you hear lecture. Or you want to go and wash some pots for Krishna, you do that. So you pick.
Sure, sure, Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you.
Spirituality, every activity gives the same result. Brings us closer to Krishna.
Sure, thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else?
I have one question. I think it's very technical. I'm just thinking, like, coming back to the idea of steadiness. I'm wondering how can we kind of like like safely short term if it's possible, like increase our devotion in a sense, or like spiritual activities without kind of like having this offense of like committing to more and then having to step down, in a sense of like, I had this period, like right now I'm actually preparing for exhibition, so I'm definitely like stretched thin, but I still keep my sadhana. But then like few weeks ago I was able to actually like chant more for a few days because I had more like free time of school. And then naturally I knew that once that period ended, I had to like go back to school and then like, again kind of pick up more of those material activities. And so it's like, I know about like Prabhupada's instruction that like for Ekadasi, right, if we can, then we should chant more at like at least 25 rounds or even more. And then for specific days when we glorify our acharyas and stuff like that, it's also really good to chant more. But then like, how do we approach those other days when like exactly like what I just mentioned, where I simultaneously or like spontaneously rather have more time and I want to like go for another japa walk and stuff like that, kind of how to safely approach it.
Thank you for a very important and nice question. You're asking very good question. Yeah. So it happens in our lives also. There are some times where we are like Saturday, Sunday, we say, we don't have work. We get 8 hours of extra time. Example. On that day, should I chant 64 rounds? Maybe if you want. But the thing is, so there will always be like that, where sometimes we get extra time, or sometimes we get crunch time where we can't do this thing. So life is not same always. So what to do in that cases? So when you have that extra time, again you need to balance. You need to give that extra time to both spiritual and material things both. Maybe you didn't clean your kitchen for a long time, so do that first. That also, instead of just chanting the whole day, or instead of putting spiritual life, or maybe you need to fix something, or you need to go for shopping or like that. So when you have the extra time, you have to give it that extra time to both spiritual and material activities, or so called like that. Not that only I'll give extra. Sometimes not extra time can be for days. Sometimes like we are like after the school, we have a lot of time and we have already got a job, so we have extra time. So we need to give it for both. Not that I should just keep chanting Hare Krishna and do all that. Then 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 what will happen is, when we can't do that, when you join a job or when the time is not, we get so frustrated that that we just want to give up that whole thing, and then the whole thing we just want to focus on spirituality, and then we go up, and then we'll ruin our material things, and all it happens like that. And then we, after some time, after a few years, we realize that, oh, why would I do that? Because now I'm not able to pay my bills and all that. My career is all gone and all like that. So the extra time we need to give for both. We have to again balance there also. And also when we don't have time, we have to again cut short some material life and some material activity and some spiritual activity also. So we need to do both. And not only that, we can have some retreats for spirituality. Like we can say that, okay, next 1 week I'll go into full spiritual retreat. You are keeping yourself planning for it, you're keeping yourself material things, everything away from it, and you have a fixed time duration for it. It's a week or 10, I'm going to have a full spiritual retreat. So you can do that also when you have that time and you want to really go into that deeper. But you know that, okay, this is a time boxed event it is, where I'm focusing on a spiritual retreat, and you have planned for that whole thing. That's what we do for yatras. We go for a yatra, pilgrimage. There, we don't carry our work with us. We don't carry our work and all that. We just go for a retreat, spiritual retreat, where we're completely immersed in it. You are away from the whole thing, your distractions and all that. You travel to India, to Vrindavan, like that, we are for a retreat. You can take a retreat for a month also. But you know that this is a time boxed event, and I'm going to come back and plug into my material things, my job and my school and all that, and I'm going to again run in the marathon again like that. So when you get extra times in day to day, give time to both. And then when you have a longer duration of time, give time for a retreat, spiritual retreat. Don't give a material retreat time unless you are going on a honeymoon or something like that. For marriage, for material retreat also you can do, where you can just give some more time for material things also. If that helps.
Yes, it's very unexpected answer, I must say. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So it is just
Anyone
my
else?
realization. It may be right or wrong, but you can apply how you could take it. This is my understanding. Sometimes it could be wrong also, because scriptures don't tell. They give examples of different individuals from Bhagavatam and all, but certain things goes by our experience. So please take as per your understanding or your experience.
Okay, is there any other? Prabhu, you have a few more minutes. Yeah, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, just a little reflection or a question that thank you for the class, and I particularly like the last part, like the answer you just gave of what to do with the free time, because that is something that keeps coming up in front of us all the time. So thank you very much for that, and I really hope that you come again, because you told in the beginning that there's so many topics left. So we really hope that you come again. So yeah, thank you, Hare Krishna.
I'll just mention a couple of things that keep coming up, Prabhu. So most of these students have good karma, good past karma, and because of that, they're very intelligent. They're able to multitask. They're able to get good jobs. Like we have Vrinda working in Oracle, Jitendra Prabhu working in Goldman Sachs, Rajiv Prabhu working in Bank of America, Vishal Prabhu working in Barclays Bank, and so on. So my point is, so they need to have some satisfaction from their work or studies or anything like that. The moment that satisfaction is not there, and we tell them, okay, just tone down a little bit and then just focus more on spiritual life, or give some time for spiritual life, then let's say they do that, but they don't feel satisfied or contented that they're able to contribute something to society. And once that satisfaction is not there, I've seen that the spiritual life also goes down. And I've consistently seen this. So in one sense, what I like to do is just encourage their material desires, um, like needs, but not their greeds. But how would you deal with that? Because is it okay to be materially satisfied? And I've also heard that some days, if the work goes well in the day, they're able to focus more on Krishna in the evening with a peaceful state of mind. So any thoughts on this, Prabhu? You're muted, Prabhuji. Sorry.
I don't know when I muted it anyway. So this it's a very practical point which we face. So when one thing is that no matter what activity we do in this material world is not going to satisfy us unless it is not connected to Krishna. The art is not doing much or less. The art is how to spiritualize. That's the art. See, one we are discussing more today and more on the practical aspects and balancing and all, but the whole art is how to spiritualize what we are doing. So when we spiritualize, when we know that art to spiritualize what we are doing, then the dissatisfaction won't be there. So it can be start with simple steps also to spiritualize what we are doing. So we have to see why dissatisfaction is there in my work. So we need to fix it. We just can't. The dissatisfaction in material life cannot be fixed by increasing spiritual life. They both are different. They both have their own problems, their own solutions. You cannot bring one and put into another. That's a big mistake. We all do that. Always we do that mistakes. If our material life is going bad, then we try to fix it with spiritual life. Our spiritual life is not so good, then we say, okay, it's not anyway going good. Let me fix with more material life. Let me go full on with material life. No, they both are their own natures are there. Until we learn that art of spiritualizing everything 100%, we need to see that there are two separate things in our lives. We have to clearly see this is separate activity, this is separate activity. Yes, I'm not pure devotee. This is my material thing. I relish in this. I have greed. Yes, I will fulfill my greed here. Within the limits. That's why we follow four relative principles. We don't go on in full on like animals. So we have our boundaries. Within that, we can do. So that aspect has to be taken care, and the problems in that has to be fixed separately. And then if we are not getting taste in spirituality, there is another thing that we have to fix separately. That is, we cannot club both. We cannot, if we are in that situation where if I do work, if my work goes well in the morning, evening I'll come back and do nice spiritual activity, that means we mixed it and made khichdi already. So we need to separate that. Irrespective of this happening, this should go on. Irrespective of this happening, that should go on. So we have to see from beginning, we have to see there are two separate things. First practitioner, we have to see separate things. And we have to see how I can keep spiritualizing it day by day. But right now, they are two separate things. I have desire to earn money. Yes, I will go and earn money. I'll give time, proper time and justice. I'll do it. If I'm dissatisfied with this job, I'll cross another ocean and go somewhere else to find another job. So you fix that in a material way. But no, we should know that that is not going to satisfy us. Satisfaction will come from Krishna conscious activities only. That will just keep our mind peaceful to do Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we'll always be thinking in the mind, oh, why this job is like this? I don't like my boss. This fellow is useless fellow. I should just quit this. Why should I stay in this country? I should go somewhere else. And all those things are there. That's okay. You can do that. We have to fix those things. Then our mind becomes, it'll never be peaceful actually, but it becomes less turbulent. And then we can do spiritualities, activity in that. So we have to see both separately. And we have to treat them separately. It has its own slots, it has to be given, and it has its own thing. But as we progress, as we advance, then we see that all our activities, material activities and all, they are spiritual. That's a higher stage it is, it is a very high stage it is.
Yeah, perfect, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I really like this point where you said dissatisfaction in material life cannot be fixed in spiritual life. So that was a very powerful point. They're completely separate things. So I really like that point. So if anybody has any questions, you can say, I see Karan Prabhu and Suman Prabhu eager. Suman Prabhu, you want to ask something?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, just one small clarification. You mentioned many times spiritualizing your activity, material activities. Do you just mean the renunciation of the results of your material activity? Because otherwise spiritualizing the material activity is quite difficult.
Question
acting on a
answered in
material
Bhagavad Gita
platform.
and 700 verses. You need to go through whole Bhagavad Gita. Because Arjuna fought that he spiritualized that. So whole it is Bhagavad Gita. So it is not just, it is a consciousness basically. Spiritualizing material activity is all in consciousness. It's not about activity itself, about consciousness it is. Like I mentioned in the beginning, the consciousness of satisfying my own senses and my own sense gratification, that's material activity. And the consciousness that I'm doing this for Krishna's pleasure or devotee's pleasure or for their satisfaction, that is spiritualizing it. So that's how you need to spiritualize the material activity. That this activity, not only result, it is not renunciation, it is. Renunciation doesn't come at all here. We cannot just, because Krishna says also Bhagavad Gita, even a sannyasi has to work to feed himself. Nobody can give up the work. And Krishna says, I don't have to work, but I am just working. I am doing things because to show an example. Janak Maharaj did same thing. He realized he didn't have to work, but they also did for example. So activity will not stop. Only thing changes is spiritualizing it. But to come to that stage, first we need to separate both, and then focus on developing both, and then come into that the spirituality will in the heart will grow when you're separating and nurturing it. Like Bhaktilata Bija, you're nurturing it and it grows, and then it will spiritualize the material things.
But Prabhu, if you grow the material thing also, then along with Bhaktilata Bija, weeds also keep growing, and won't it cover up? I know you're talking about Nishkama Karma Yoga as the highest platform, but
see, that's what it is. Like, if you are thinking the weeds doesn't say about activities. If you see the Bhaktilata Bija weeds, what are the weeds? Desire for sense gratification, again it is. So desire for satisfaction can happen in anywhere, irrespective of your material activities. You may be working in a big job, or you may be working in a small job. The desire for sense gratification is still there. It is. The question is not about like where you work or how. What we are discussing here is about our based on our nature to engage it, to fulfill it. We have some desires, some things like that. That's why I said not extreme desires, but there are some cravings. It's okay to have your cravings fulfilled to a certain extent, not at the cost of spiritual. That's why you separate it both and you work on your cravings. That's okay. But you are nurturing your spiritual life also. The cravings will go away for some time. We cannot go beyond our realization always. And you have to be very careful to take that step. If you're taking those steps, you have to be very careful and you have to very, that's why in the beginning, as again said, it's a long thing. It is. If you are increasing 1 to 2 rounds, if you are increasing, we have to see why I'm increasing 2 rounds. Can I sustain the 2 rounds for all my life or not?
Thank you, Prabhu. Very clear. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Sundarnath Prabhu. I just have one burning question. I really want to end at 10:30, but this one question, if you can just answer. So this is regarding finances. Also, we have many students here who have just recently started working, earning big 6-figure salaries and so on. So one question that I keep getting is, so now that we have started working, we just have our student loans. And then once we take care of our student loans, we want to give a lot of money to temple and, temple. I mean, you'll be happy to hear this, but I'm just saying that in a practical sense, what is the advice? Because should they be thinking about their future, not in terms of accumulating a lot of money, but at least in terms of planning for their future, or should they contribute a big amount to Krishna? I know, like, for example, from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Vasudev Datta was not taking care of his finances, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself asked Shivananda Sen to help him take care of his finances. So in one sense, that is one area that I've seen that devotees, there are not many mentors who can help guide us in this particular area. Any thoughts or any words of wisdom in this area? Thank you.
Thank you. It's a good question too, very practical. Yes. So now we are earning money, what to do with it? How to do it? Yes. So again, it should be balanced again. You cannot just say, no, I want to just make my career, my planning and all. I'll not give anything to Krishna. And you cannot just say that, okay, I'll give so much to Krishna. I'll just keep little. I'll share with 10 other guys, and then I will just use public transport and live my life like this as a batch, this thing. No, because you're progressing into your grahastha ashram. Suppose then you have to have that type of setup where it is like you're comfortable in an apartment like that. You have to plan for it. If you are planning for children, then you have to save something so that their education is taken care and all that. So planning should certainly go on based on which ashram you are going to, but I generally assume it's gross ashram, so I'm just telling like that. So we need to plan certainly. At the same time, we need to give Krishna also. The fruits have to be given to Krishna because that has to be purified. Now where to strike that balance? Then we have to take the guidance. If you are really, really a simple person, really, really renounced person, and you really relish in renunciating and living in simple life, and your partner also, whoever it is, you'll find like that, and you'll want to live a very simple life, then go ahead with the gold standard of Rupa Goswami, donating 25% to Krishna consciousness. And then you plan your life in next 75, 50. But that is, I have not seen anybody like that. Maybe somebody will be there like that. Then you come down, okay, you need to give something to Krishna. You should give, there's that it should pinch you. You should give to Krishna that it should pinch us. The pinch, pinch is, it is not painful, it is pinch. It is painful means you got hurt, then it's painful, it's blood coming and all like that. So if you should not do that much to Krishna also, and then you don't give anything also Krishna, and it's like not that also. Krishna will slap and take one day, that's a different thing. So we should give that you feel pinch every month after seeing the paycheck, and then you're giving, you should have some pinch. Okay, I got a pinch, okay, I'm giving. So now the pinch level is up to individual, like how much it is. So you keep that, you do your finance balancing, you keep Krishna as your partner, and then you put him also certain thing. He should pinch you. Okay, Krishna, you're taking so much. Okay, it's pinching me a little bit. That's okay. But I can tolerate that pinch. Little pinch is okay. Like that, you should plan that. But of course, major of part of that, because you are still young and you're still getting, major part should be for long-term investment. And I should save. you should always spend less than that. Okay, I will not go into finance lessons, but there are a lot of finance lessons also there. So there's another time we can talk about finance lessons.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Sundarnath Prabhu. I mean, I
Karan
think
Prabhu has question, I think.
Karan Prabhu has a question. Yes.
No, Prabhuji, I just turned on my video.
Okay.
Let's see if anybody has any one final burning question. 3 minutes. Vishal Prabhu.
Yeah, I have a question. So when do we get to see you next, Prabhuji?
You're seeing me now. We have to get used to this virtual world now. So
Because the session were like so enlightening. I really want to hear more and more. So maybe like next week, if that is fine with you.
yeah, if you all agree, and then we can do next week and then take it more on this topic only. More subject on this, continuation from this. Can do that.
Sure, Prabhu. We'll definitely have you over again. Yeah, thank you so much, Sundarnath Prabhu. And thank you all for joining. Let's all thank Sundarnath Prabhu one more time. Each one of you can just say one nice thing and then before logging off. It could be a reflection, it could be something specific that you liked from this class.
Thank you so much, bro. Like, it's very important to have like such practical discussions. Which, so thank you for taking and giving us this class. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I felt like the class was very much for me. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And I really want to, I look forward to, hearing from you again, Prabhuji. So,
Servant.
Very practical and have balance without duplicity, either in material life or spiritual life.
Hare Krishna, Sundarnath Prabhu. I think everyone is echoing my thoughts. I thought it was just a very enlightening, practical session. It took away a lot, and I would be repeating your whole session if I say what really stuck up in my mind. But I guess the words that really come to mind are just the steadiness, and again, just the practicality of making of spiritual life. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much once more. I shared some reflections already, but I feel like what I want to bring up now is this idea of keeping the spiritual world and the material world, material life and spiritual life separate until we can spiritualize the material endeavors, and then we can merge them.
Okay, thank you. Nice.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you once again. And I really like the part when you said that desires can be the need or greed. I think that was really deep. And I hope that you have this entire series of classes for us for like a lot of weeks, and that would be lovely. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you.
Okay. So Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhyo patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sundarnath Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.